All right, so it is February 2022. Where has the time gone? So this is the idea share for February. I'm Beth Golick from Key Ministry. I'm joined by my colleague, Catherine Boyle, who's our Director of Mental Health Ministry. And I'm just gonna open it right up. What's new, people? What's going on? How are we feeling in February 2022? Who wants to start? Okay, Meekins.
Unmute here. So it was an exciting, actually, couple of months for us because remember we were telling you about the lady who was so isolated in right outside Pittsburgh or Harrisburg, and that she just, found our website and had a conversation with us. Well, we had another talk and she brought her husband, and it was really cool because there's been a huge shift because she read Diane's book and she read Sandra's book and she had a chat with me. She's like a totally different person because she had support in this world that we all live in. And not only that, but she has already turned the corner about, okay, we need to start a parent support group in our area. And she's already, her husband's adorable because he's sitting in the back, like you could tell he's like thinking, oh my, what have I got myself into? It's adorable. But yeah, so that's a huge turnaround and a very quick one from somebody who was completely isolated, and now she's turned that around. She's going to go out and she's going to help other people. So we're going to keep up with them and check in with them and see how we can offer them support. So I wanted to share that with you all, and I told her about you guys, and so hopefully they'll be able to jump on at some point and we can introduce you.
That is amazing. Like, what an encouragement. And so thank you, Meekins, for sharing that. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I'm just going to go ahead and call it pandemic blessing, people, because that person would not have reached from Pennsylvania, would not have found you in Virginia necessarily. And the fact that you've been able to connect and, like create this little community and establish that relationship. And now she wants to go and do that for others is just so cool. So yay, God, yay, Meekins. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Thanks for sharing it. Sure thing. That was a fun way to kick off. Al.
Another pandemic blessing is I've met Barb Stanley through this, and she actually interviewed me and I'm in a small group with 9 guys in 7 different states on Wednesday nights. So she did an interview about special needs dads, and that was on her website. I'm actually in Pennsylvania for a funeral rather suddenly. But there's this dad's group in Pennsylvania that I knew of, and I came last minute, contacted them last night, and they asked me to speak at it tonight. So,
oh wow,
it's an in-person dad's group as well.
Wow.
So that'll be good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry that why you're traveling today, but yeah, that's incredible. You and Barb, which by the way, you're like a next week rather on my Zoom screen. So, hey Barb, how are you? So what a cool partnership. And thanks for doing the interview and for sharing about that. Yeah, Barb, do you have any follow-up to that?
Yeah, I would say we were super excited about the interview. We feel like the interview with the dads, as just with the interview with the moms, was information that people need to hear in the church and in the community. And we are just really grateful and hope everyone will share that. Especially think that with the dads, because dads don't get as much coverage. And I think that men don't know where to reach out for resources or feel more alone. So we're just really encouraging churches to take those 2 interviews, ones with the moms and the ones with the dads, and put them in their church resource library so that when they have special needs parents, they can give them these resources. But yeah, thank you, Al. We loved your interview.
And Barb, can you share like the best way for people to find that link?
Yeah, you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is Wonderful Works Ministry, or you can join our Facebook group, which is Wonderful Works Ministry on Facebook, and we have the links there as well. And we actually have a discussion guide for both the moms group and the dads group interviews in case small groups wanted to look at it and discuss. There was a lot to learn from these interviews.
Very cool. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, definitely check out Barb's ministry. It's pretty awesome, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
All right, who else would like to share? Yeah, Sylvia, are you raising your hand, or was that you were adjusting your sweater?
Of everything that's going on. We're in the midst of, Night to Shine is Friday, and I am like, oh my goodness, we have 17 out-of-state people participating in our Night to Shine for whatever reason, but it's very exciting. We have a participant from Hawaii, New Mexico, Ohio, Louisiana, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And it's just amazing, and it's amazing we sent the participants a prayer request, so that the parents are sending us back different things that they want us to pray for them to continue to keep them encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
We're still, we are still not in person.
You had that brief moment.
We had 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes. 2 weeks.
And the numbers in Virginia, they jumped up to like 2,000-3,000 people. And it was like, okay, we are not. And our pastor said we will not go back in church until probably after the spring. Mm-hmm. And everything. But it's just really exciting where, again, we are reaching out to so many people. Before pandemic, we had like 1 or 2 adults coming into our Sunday school class. Now we have consistently 9 or 10.
Wow.
Coming in every Sunday. And again, there are participants from Florida and different areas coming in. And so it's just been exciting. For Christmas, we were able to give all of our Buddy Break families gift baskets, and not just toys and everything, but this year we gave them food baskets and stuff, with a testimony from a parent that said, who would have ever thought that there were going to be potatoes in a Christmas basket? Because she had sent her son, and this is how God, with his divine interventions, happened. She had sent her husband out to the grocery store to get potatoes because her son, that's one of the things that he eats. Dad forgot to get the potatoes.
Oh.
The basket was delivered that day to the family.
Seriously, you couldn't plan that.
Could not have planned that if we had tried. Mm-hmm. But what I had told our team was that this year we were just going to give out of the ordinary kinds of things in our gift baskets, that it wasn't going to be, turkey dinners and all that kind of stuff. It was going to be things that we felt like everybody needed. Mm-hmm. And potatoes, spaghetti sauce, tuna fish with the mayonnaise and a can opener to go with it.
Oh, that's clever.
It was just amazing, the responses that we got back from parents on how appreciative they were, and that, we can't do respite, but we can gift them with things that they absolutely need. So it's been a journey, and it's been difficult sometimes, but we're enjoying the journey and letting God do his best.
Well, and good for you for persevering through the journey. And thank you for always coming to these and really encouraging all of us. So yeah, that's great. I love how you did the gift baskets. We're actually, so the Disability Ministry Video Roundtable later this month, which hopefully what Catherine's doing right now is looking up the date because I'm going to say it wrong. Whatever the third Wednesday of this month is, at noon Eastern time. We will talk about drive-ups, drive-throughs, drive-ins, drop-offs, just kind of clever ideas that you all have come up with these last 2 years. And we'll talk about best practices and just share ideas because there's been some really cool things, events, and ways of reaching out and ways of connecting families who otherwise would not, step foot in our buildings. Because of the pandemic, we've been creative, and I see some of these things as continuing, and some of these things that, the church as a whole could really learn from, this group, you guys. So that'll be, thank you, Catherine, February 16th. And if you're not already getting it's the same link every month, but if you're not already getting the Disability Ministry Video Roundtable Zoom link, please make sure to sign up. And Catherine put the link in the chat. So for those of you watching from home or not participating live, it's keyministry.org/events. So you only have to sign up once and you'll get it every month, just like you get the idea share every month. All right, who else? What else?
I'll share something.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan from Johnny and Friends, but I also serve at the Disability Ministry at my church. And 2 weeks ago, we had a family come that had never set foot in a church before, but they heard that we had a disability ministry, and so they showed up, which is just so cool. And the young man who came, his name's Alan, is just ridiculously smart. He looked at the world map that we have hanging on the wall of our classroom, and he was like, "Oh, this was made in 1993," because he could tell based on like the names of like different countries.
Wow.
Yeah, or like there were certain countries that had their national capital changed, and he immediately like picked those out. So I was like, he's just so sharp. So we had a great time. We gave him a Bible, and his mom was just blown away. She's like, "I had no idea that churches were like this." And so they don't know like anything about the Bible. So it's really cool in that sense too, of thinking through, and it's forcing us to go back to really just the basics of how do we actually just share the gospel from scratch with anyone. And so he came back last week and had read so much of the Bible. Just every day he'd spent like hours reading it, and he had a lot of questions and stuff. And so it's just, I don't know, this is why we do it, right? Is to see people come to know God. And there's just this hunger, but it was a hunger that was begun because they had a hunger for community, and because our church had been putting the word out there. It's like, if you have a disability, we want you at our church. And just seeing that kind of fruit has just been absolutely life-giving and amazing.
That is so cool. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing like so many things. So first of all, what a great opportunity for your staff and your volunteers to like, all right, let's get back to basics. Like, let's look at this through fresh eyes. And I mean, what a cool learning opportunity for all of you, and a growth opportunity. And just, I don't know, that's really awesome. So that's, I'm kind of jealous. Like, that's like we should all be doing that. Right. And then secondly, how great that your church is reaching out into the community and you're able to see the actual fruit from that. And so that's really kind of a lesson to all of us that, we just need to continue to invite the community. And we know like word of mouth is probably how a lot of people hear about our churches one way or the other, right? And so just continuing to invite and, do things that people talk about and people notice and people invite their friends. So that's really great. Yes, Catherine.
If we believe that the fields are white for harvest.
Yes.
In the Bible, we should believe that.
Right. Right.
Well, so when Beth and I and Steve were at Children's Pastors Conference a few weeks ago, this mom came up to our booth. We had a booth in the ginormous resource center that was there, met lots of people. And this mom came up and she said, I have this son who is 7 years old. He's on the spectrum, level 1, very bright, probably a lot like this young man who you met, Ryan. And she said, he does not believe in the Bible. He does not believe in God. We are trying to help him believe, but he's a very literal person. And so it's, it's just kind of outside of his, natural bent, his wheelhouse, if you will, of, because he can't see it. It's too abstract for him. So I am a total Bible nerd. There's so many little amazing things about Hebrew, if you don't already know that. And there's so many things that are just packed into scripture that, that just your traditional kind of reading of scripture, you'll never get, and when you start digging in, it's just endless what a deep well it is of God's fingerprints all over the text. And so I shared with her this book that I read years ago. I'm not sure that I can find it on my bookcase, but I've got a link here. It's just a little book. It's by an amazing teacher named Chuck Missler. He passed away, but it's called Hidden Treasures, and maybe just Hidden Treasures. But anyway, some of the things I'll just share with you, but I think that this might be something to kind of keep in the back of your mind when you have those learners who are so, black and white, not abstract thinkers at all, because these are some things that this book is filled with things that are embedded within scripture that, the cursory read of scripture is never going to reveal. And so one of those, I'll just share a couple of them. So when you look at how God commanded that the Israelites, when they were in the desert, how they would arrange themselves, by the tribes and, around the altar, it says, these three tribes had to be due north. It's not kind of north or northeast. It was the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. And so these three small tribes were on the north side, and then whatever. But anyway, based on the sizes of the tribes, the bigger tribes were on the bottom, they were on the south. But anyway, if you look at it as an aerial view, how they were arranged, it makes the shape of a cross. It totally does. It's wild. And so that's one big one right there. Another one, Hebrew is not only, like we think of as an alphabet, like letters, but those letters all have picture symbols that go along with them. And so if you ask somebody, where's the first telling of the story of redemption? Well, they're probably going to say, well, it's in the New Testament or whatever. It's in the first 10 generations of mankind. And so it's in Genesis, it's early in Genesis. And so if you look at the picture representations and the name meanings of those first 10 generations, it's basically man created, mortal sorrow, anyway, but it goes on and it tells the story of redemption. And I think it's the Tav is it's not just a T, but it's there's a symbol that goes with it that's so significant to resurrection or being pierced. And so there are just so many of these little things. My husband and I taught 10th grade Sunday school, and it's probably going on a decade ago, but I remember, we brought some of these things, like half a dozen of these things from this book and a couple other things we learned into this class and put them in a little document. And those kids, their mouths were literally hanging open as we were going through this. And it was so funny. This one kid, as he was leaving, he said, wow, I finally learned something useful in church today. And so I was like, all right, thanks a lot. Been coming to my class for a year, but I get this book. It's really cheap. It's on Amazon and lots of other booksellers. And I'm happy to talk with you about any of this because I am a total Bible nerd. So anyway. That's all.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I think he's the type of just voraciously curious person. That was one of the conversations we were having is just, it was, compared to a lot of his peers who are super hard to get engaged, he's already there. He's already wants to know more. He's already got questions queued up. And it's so interesting because he can barely read. Like I think he's got a photographic memory, but he can hardly read. Like we had a verse on the wall and he was sounding out the word the. So like we haven't talked that much with his mom yet about his like education and stuff, but there's just an unmistakable curiosity and a desire to go deeper. And I think it's in a lot of ways humbling to have somebody who's more curious than you are about things that really matter and stuff. So I definitely am looking for more things to give him outside.
Very cool. Cool. Thank you. And then for those of you who are watching the recording, it's Chuck Missler, Missler, is the author of the book that Catherine was talking about. All right. Awesome. Who else has something to share today? Doc.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and then Patrick. Doc, then Patrick. Sorry. That's who I saw first.
Yeah, so sorry, things have been crazy around here, so I haven't been on last couple of months. So couple cool updates we have. One, I'll just give an update, a little old, but from back at Christmas time. This year we did our SOAR Christmas Blessings, where we adopt families with disabilities who aren't able to provide for Christmas. And real cool things happened through that this year. This year we were able to almost double the amount of families we were able to bless. We did 33 families that we were able to bless the entire family with that. But out of that, two really huge kind of God-sized miracles came out of it. One, we had a participant who their wish was for an adaptive bike. And these bikes are about $4,000. And, I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able to do that. But lo and behold, without anyone knowing we were needing that, I had someone donate a adaptive bike to me.
Oh, wow.
And so we were able to clean it up and everything, and it was the perfect size. And so we were able to bless this family and this child with an adaptive bike for them. The second one was one of our families. They really wanted just two things. One, they wanted just a gym membership so they could go swimming through the winter. But after they did that and we had that blessed for them, they have a service dog it's an autism dog for their child. And he ended up, he's a puppy still, and he tore his ACL and needed to have surgery for that. And they couldn't do the surgery, couldn't pay for that. And so we were able to get multiple organizations together and get that all put together. And we were able to do the surgery and allow that dog to have ACL repair. So he actually just got out of his cone of shame a week ago. And so, our little guy's super excited that his dog's back with them and helping him through everything. So just two really huge blessings on just how God blessed that. And then many of we've been trying real hard for SOAR to become mobile. We're trying to get a truck and a trailer, and God blessed us with that. We had a local truck dealership here. We were within $3,500 of completing our goal, and literally had just put in the order to order our 24-foot trailer and our equipment. And due to the shortage of everything, our prices raised $30,000 on everything. But literally within an hour of us doing that and being about $3,500 short of making all of our goal, we had a dealership contact us saying they love what we're doing and they would give us $20,000 off any truck on their lot. Oh, so wow. We just got our truck this last week. We got a 2021 Dodge Ram diesel 3/4 ton truck. And so our trailer will be delivered March 17th and we're good to go. And this year doing 3 camps and Lord willing, next year, 2023, we're taking our camp on the road and we'll be looking to do 7 to 10 camps across the country in other cities. So hopefully many of you here will be reaching out and see if we can bring our camp to you for a week. So we're really excited how God's blessing that.
That's so cool. Wow. What great stories. Thank you for sharing, Doc. And I love how, for the Christmas blessing, that you were really like thinking outside the box. I mean, I'm sure repair of a dog's ACL wasn't one of the check marks. Like, what would your family like? So
not at all.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Wow. All right, Patrick, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, so today, actually what I'm bringing is, in my role as a board member of the Faith Inclusion Network in Norfolk, Virginia, they have their Community for All conference coming up, which is both virtual, long multi-month conference starting February 22nd through April the 30th. And that's, you can sign up online for multiple pre-recorded presentations. And that's on their website, faithinclusionnetwork.org. And also there's an in-person conference in Norfolk, Virginia, the 10th and 11th of March. And it's disability and theology and church programs for people living with disabilities in churches, started by a parent of a person living with a disability, and wanted to bring that programming and ideas to many, many people. So it's an honor to be on the board. Last year, I was a presenter at the conference. This year, a number of my colleagues with Heritage Christian Services in Rochester, New York, are part of the conference. And I believe a couple people in our community here today will also be presenting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, raise your hand if you're part of the upcoming. Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, so wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
Thank you. And can you tell us how people can sign up to attend either virtually or in person? I know it's a long link, so is there a you can actually, it's on the Key Ministry website. So if you go to keyministry.org/events, that would be an easy way to find it. But if there's another way that you want to share, by all means.
Yeah, it's also on the I can just type the website into the box here as well.
Yep.
I'll do that. But yeah, the faithinclusionnetwork.org website.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we'll, definitely a good resource to check out. For those of you who are presenting, are you part of the virtual or in person or both? Anybody want to?
I'm doing virtual.
Virtual. Barb, how about you?
I am also doing virtual.
Virtual. And Catherine, you're both, correct? You're one of each. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Oh, and it's also listed on keyministry.org/conferences.
Yes, on that page, not the events page.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just checked.
Okay. I know someone that can fix that if we want it on the events page too. But anyway, okay. Awesome. Who else has something to share? Yes, Barb.
To share.
And I will share mine too, but Barb, go ahead.
I don't have anything to share. I have a question.
Yeah.
So we are getting ready to work on dyslexia in the church as one of our new videos we're doing for Wonderful Works. So does anyone have any experience in a church classroom where teachers want everyone to be reading out of the Bible and learning how to read out of the Bible, but have students that's really difficult for? Tips for how to handle that?
I just have a son who was that person.
Yeah.
And, he's grown now and he has children and he still has dyslexia, and there were some very painful moments for him in the church.
Right.
We have our Amy, but we also have our Josh, and our Josh really struggled. In fact, there was one time we talked to the leaders 2 years in a row because they moved up with the kids, and we talked to them, and it was a boy class and it was men that was leading it. And we just said, please don't ask him to read. and don't ask him to write anything, but he can talk until the cows come home, and he's very bright. So could you just give him some other way? And they would never accommodate that for us, which was very painful. So finally, Tom just took him out during that class time, and they just walked the perimeter of the church building, and they just had their own little Sunday school together. And that's the way that we had to fix it. So I'm really glad you're doing that you're focused on that.
Yeah, well, it's important, and it's so common. And I think it is so overlooked in the church because people don't share it. I mean, in school they know, but in church people don't tell you. So we're excited to do it. But if anyone has any thoughts or any tips that we can include, or one thing you would want church leaders to know, just let us know.
I was going to say, as an idea, you could send out or ask them to memorize something in advance of it. That way, when they get there, if you want them to read something, if they've got it memorized already, then they can just say it out loud. And that sidesteps the dyslexia a little bit while still allowing them to participate and show off a little bit.
And I mean, this is me preaching to the choir, but this is like such a good example just to talk about learning differences and how we all, you know, some of us need to hear it and some of us need to see it and some of us need to do it, and never put a kid, I mean, my rule of thumb is just never put a kid on the spot, like just never, you know, never call on them to pray or call on them to read. But yeah, it's just a good reminder for everybody. I mean, across the board.
Yeah, not just kids, but adults as well.
Yes.
Because they struggle too. And using picture cues a lot of times will help, like words that, even some of the simplest words, if you give them the idea and put in a picture that they can make and join the thought, and or read the sentence and then talk about it later. I'm having to think through my OT stuff to give you an answer.
And Charla, you had something too.
I have a junior high age boy that can't read, and if it can work out at all possible, I have him, he likes to draw. So I have him draw the picture of whatever we're talking about and have him explain his picture when we talk about it. That helps.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
Those are great. Thank you, guys. If anyone has any other ideas later, feel free to email me at barb@wonderfulworks.net. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll share, since we were talking about Christmas blessings. So the special needs ministry at my church was one of the three areas that, one of the 4 areas that people could give their Christmas offering, which is an offering above and beyond, their regular tithing. And I think, like, from some of these roundtables and idea shares, I wanted to pitch the idea of building a fully accessible restroom with an adult changing table at our church. I just think that's just a way to show our love for families. And anyway, the church, like, they responded big time, and like, we will be getting that restroom because the response was just so overwhelming. So it was pretty huge. Like, it kind of makes me cry. And it's amazing how the church responded, or how the people of the church responded. And I actually had a family come up to me last Sunday. So a family that's whose child is in one of our, like, sensory friendly classrooms. And so when she heard the announcement about, how much money actually was brought in for the special needs ministry, she said, this is just such confirmation, of how, like, welcome we feel here and how loved. And it was pretty cool. So anyway, I just had to share that. And now we have to figure out, like, where and how, and and I have some God-sized dreams. Like, I maybe want more than just the restroom. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, it was really cool. So anybody else working through anything that they want us to brainstorm? Yes, Charlotte.
I guess I kind of want some advice. Our adult class was very smooth rolling until we had a young lady come in. She's very outgoing, very talkative, also tends to be kind of touchy-feely, kind of hit you, punch you a little lightly, you know. And so we've had a little bit of not fighting, but other members being upset and some words. And talking to my leaders, I was trying to come up with ideas. And one of the things I came up with was, you know how you get the little punch cards at some places like a yogurt place, and after 10 punches, you get the free yogurt or whatever. I bought some reward cards like that. And I said we could do a punch every Sunday that they behave themselves and are kind to each other. And then after 10, we could do a $5 Sonic card. They felt like I was treating them like kids, like disciplining them, but we've got to keep order in the class. So what are your opinions, advice?
So one thing I'd recommend is like maybe always starting like when people are arriving and you're doing your chit chat and all that, you could even kind of just reiterate the expectations for the class. They could be posted either in like picture form or written, depending on what your class is like. And that could just be part of how you begin your class, is just kind of going through just a reminder of, how we function as a community and what our rules are, what our expectations are. I think, the idea of having a reward system, I'm not totally opposed to it. I think for some people it works really well. I will tell you, I'm completely driven by if I can earn like a badge, for doing for having a streak of some sort, I'm all over it. Right. So some of us are very motivated by that kind of thing. And, maybe others aren't. Like I have a student in this classroom, our teen and adult classroom, who he and his parents, they're the ones that provided me this, it's like a star chart kind of thing. And he has the opportunity to earn the 5 stars throughout the morning for doing whatever the things are that we are asking him to do. They're just the normal expected things. But then he's always working towards something. And so when they arrive on a Sunday morning, they'll tell me he's working for, going out for pancakes, or he's working on being able to print, whatever he's doing on the computer or that kind of thing. So that's like an individual, like reward chart. But there could be some, fun way to do it for the class as well. What other ideas or thoughts do people have? Barb?
You may have already done this, but whenever we have a student who has challenging behavior, the first thing we do is we observe exactly when do they have that behavior and when do they not have it, and what is going on during that time. Because we have found sometimes we have missed the fact that we had one student very similar to yours where she's very touchy-feely and can get too much on top of people and cause problems. And we found that when she was doing these things was when the volume was up. And so it was things like that. And then other students where maybe they typically have some behaviors, but then there's times when they don't. What are they doing then? And sometimes that can help you know what they need, because behavior is a form of saying I need something. The other thing that we do that is similar to a reward system, but a little bit different, is we do first then, and I don't know how your class would feel about this, but we will say like, first we're going to do whatever we want them to do. Then they get to choose what they can do that they want to do. So it's not so much as a formal token chart, but it's still, we use a visual board, first then board, and they get to be motivated because they get to pick what they get to do. It's really instantaneous. So it's quick. Those two things have been helpful for us. So maybe that's something to look at.
I don't know if my teachers have tried to make sure and observe, you know, the behavior before or what's going on. But I can talk to them about that. One other thing that I suggested was asking the pastor that's over our ministry, telling him, guys, if we can't get along, we're going to have Pastor Danny come in and talk to us about our behavior. And they didn't like that idea either. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would look for, if you can find out why she's doing what she's doing, because, you know, we just always have to remember behavior is their way of telling us that something, they don't have their needs met. So maybe just start with that and see.
Okay, I'm going to call on Ryan, but I also have to tell you, in case you didn't see the chat, my battery's about to die and I don't have a power cord. And so I'm not sure what's going to happen if I fall off. Hopefully Catherine will be the host, but I don't know if the recording, I don't know. So sorry if I disappear. Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to kind of echo what Barb was saying there too. Like, behavior is not always necessarily a behavioral problem, because it might be, you know, like she's saying, a call for help. There might be an outside cause. There's a church I was working with recently where they had realized that their check-in process was creating a lot of behavioral problems, which sounds weird, except that they were checking in a narrow, you know, linoleum, hard surfaced hallway that was a choke point for all the kids. So there's like screaming kids and parents and lights and sounds and smells. And by the time they got into the classroom, they were already up to here. So, you know, good luck with the rest of that. And by changing their check-in process to allow the kids that struggled with sensory issues to have a text check-in and come through the back door, they like did away with a lot of their behavioral problems. So the problem might be outside of the space where it's happening too. So just being creative and looking really big picture at what is this behavior communicating.
Okay.
I love that. And often it's transitions that are the thing that's going to set people off. So maybe like you're transitioning from, I don't know, they were singing songs or something, and now it's time to read the Bible story. Maybe that's when it happens, or, you know.
Well, as far as checking and all that, it wouldn't be that. It could be before she got to church, though. I mean, that could be the trigger for sure.
Just, yeah, like the chaos of getting ready for a Sunday morning can sometimes be a problem too.
That's right. My observation, which I have not, since she has started, I have not been in there the whole class time yet, but she seems to be one of those that wants to be the life of the party, the center of attention. So.
Well, and there can be ways to use that to your advantage in the classroom, as opposed to trying to like stifle it. But it's like, it behooves you to figure out how to do that in a way that benefits the class and benefits you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hey, thank you for the ideas.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm sorry. I've been 2 phone calls, and I may be off the mark on when I say this, but can she be a helper?
I think they have tried that with her. And at first we had a young woman come in that she automatically started helping her. She was nonverbal, and we thought it was going to be a good thing, but then she just got louder and louder with her. And so I don't know.
But give her a list of assignments. Find out specifically what her abilities are, what she's doing outside, what calms her down when she's not in your space, and assign her tasks that may vary, and give her a checklist when she comes in, that this is what you're going to be assigned. What is it that you would invite her into the space of making the decision about how she's going to behave during the time that she's in there with you.
Okay.
I love that. Good thinking, Sylvia. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. All right, who else? Allison, do you have anything to share with us today?
And I'm sorry I was late. So again, I'm a bit like Sylvia. I'm like, oh, have you already had this discussion? And I'm joining in. I actually had our shine through on Saturday this week, just because of logistics.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know whether anyone else is doing it later next week, ready for the virtual party, etc. But just to say, it was fabulous. It was so fun. It was 6 degrees, but it was okay. A lot. And just, I think this year we upped the number of volunteers we could have in the space, and created a longer process and encouraged them to sort of come at the same time so they could watch each other. And just the joy that they had of watching each other, and parents videoing parents, and just the everybody was just so bowled over that we were out in the cold. That so many people came, lots and lots of teenagers came, and the emails that I'm getting from the parents are just saying they just felt so loved, that A, we would be there for them, and B, that we would be there for so long, and C, that we were happy doing it. So I'm like, yes, mission accomplished.
Very cool. Well, I did mention earlier, so I'm hoping you're available, but the third Wednesday of this month, we're going to be talking about the drive-ins, drive-throughs, drop-offs, those kind of things. So I really hope you can join us, because you've inspired me on some of these things. So yes.
Awesome.
And our delivery team is going out today to deliver the goodie bags, and our shine through is Friday. So
nice. Oh, I'll be praying.
I'll have stuff to report too.
Exciting. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to March to catch up with the
yes. Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? If not, we'll stop before my battery dies. I'm getting these warning messages. All right. Well, thank you. Is any?
No, I'm coming from the far northern land of the polar bears, Canada. And anybody wants any snow, we're selling it for free. We've got tons of it. I'm just tuned in today because I think maybe a few months ago, I don't really know what this is all about, but it piqued my interest. So I'm just an interested observer exploring what it's all about. But at this point in time, my knowledge is very little about what kind of people are doing. But just background that maybe you can plug into me is that I'm a university professor at Niagara University, and I teach inclusive education to teacher trainees who are going to become teacher candidates, actually. And I'm also the parent of 3 kids, one of whom, the youngest, was gifted with Down syndrome. So very much involved in the advocacy on government policy and so on. So I'm very much at the forefront, and I'm also a devout Catholic. So therefore very focused on finding ways for, as we have already, my daughter and other persons with disabilities to be able to be integrally involved as full members of our church community. So I don't know where that fits in at all. So I'm just throwing it out there. I am, according to, I won't say according to God for sure, but according to the powers that be, I have been gifted with the awesome responsibility of being considered a disability advocate. So with that, of course, comes unheralded responsibilities that never seem to end, and you're always trying to meet this benchmark of up in the celestial heavens, so to speak. And I'm not always, I don't always meet that. I just kind of work hard as a pilgrim on the journey like the rest of us. So I just thought I'd introduce myself as a courtesy, because I am sitting here listening to other people. And so I thought the best thing to do is at least let them know something about you as a matter of courtesy. That's it.
Welcome, welcome. We're glad you're here.
So what exactly, I've been trying to, what is it, as a conglomerate here, I hate to use that business entrepreneurial word, but like everybody is what, like what's the connection? Like,
so this group it's just an open invitation, but Key Ministry is the ministry that is hosting this. And so We're just inviting disability ministry leaders from wherever to join and just talk about what's going on and share ideas and encourage each other. This started in March of 2020 because suddenly all of our churches, everything was just shut down. And so Key Ministry kind of reached out to the churches that we're connected with and said, hey, let's jump on a Zoom and figure out how in the world we are going to continue to serve families, to, walk alongside them in their faith journey when we can't be together in person. And we met weekly for quite a while. And I don't know about you all, but that was a lifeline for me. And so we've been together, we've added people throughout, but a lot of the people that you see here today have been talking together since March of 2020. So we were every week for a long time, and now we're once a month. And we don't come with like a specific topic, but we just chat and share ideas. And like, I've taken away the most amazing ideas because of the people that you see here. So anyway, that's just, and we're open to everybody, and yeah, that's what we do.
So the mission is to integrate that, to provide meaningful integration of the people in your various communities in their faith journey. Would that be?
So we all have different roles. Some of us work in churches, some are in parachurch organizations, or we're volunteers, or, staff, whatever. And so, but we're all here because, we love Jesus and we want to share that with others. And so we're just kind of in all different aspects of disability inclusion ministry. Is that fair? Would you all agree that that's kind of what we do? Yeah. Okay. Good.
No, that gives me a little bit of background and that kind of stuff, because I will share some good news, because we always like the good news of the gospel. Well, this is not the good news of the gospel, but it's certainly considered good news for us in the disability community up here. For 3 years, I served with other noted experts and colleagues on a government committee, and it was called the K-12. So this is younger people, obviously. Education Standards Committee on Accessibility. Now, it went beyond that, and basically what it was for 3 years, our goal was to work on drawing up the means for accessibility. So the focus is accessibility for everybody, so from cradle to grave, if I can use that kind of vernacular. And it has to be, the government made a promise that our province of Ontario, similar to your states, would be totally accessible by 2025. And it covered all sorts of things like housing, employment, education, the usuals. And we just finished our report January the 5th, and it was sent to the minister, which would be like your secretary in your state political system. So we are going to find out probably in a couple of months. It was a lot of work, a lot of people dedicated, and the focus was obviously, when we talked about accessibility, was inclusion and equity within a diverse demographic, which is what we have. So 96 pages, which is not too bad. And it's not officially available, of course, yet, because it has to be approved by the government, but we're hopeful, because we think really, when we're talking about living a full life, certainly accessibility is important. So we don't have, basically, they're looking at the whole idea, when you go into McDonald's, is that there are people have the accessibility imprint on it. So just that person who can sit by the window or sit if he has got some. So this kind of, it's a total turnaround of how we see accessibility.